So the nurse has not called me back for part 5 yet. I'm still waiting for the neurologist to call me back. You can see how difficult that is. It wasn't that difficult to begin. But something was on my mind and I was having some trouble standing up, and I just got off the phone with Social Security and things. Trying to explain my childhood, you can't do that in 15 minutes over the phone. It would probably take a book to explain my father and mother. Oh my God. Yeah, it's not like, and not, I don't even think an afternoon would do it. If you want to understand my disability, you're going to need a lot more than a 15-minute conversation. So I thought that bringing this to a positive, save everybody money video, a quick tip, a cool little quick thing. Like, for instance, if you had a tuna steak or a chicken breast, you cooked way too much, you maybe a cookout or on your stove, and you got 12 of them everywhere. How can you make that last a year in your refrigerator? Now, some people might be thinking salt or something, but I'll tell you what, I won't change the flavor. I will keep it exactly how it is, and I'll tell you what I just did. So, you know those chicken and pork Vienna sausages or chicken hot dogs or any beef hot dogs or just about any processed meat in a casing? And you've probably seen something called firecrackers. Well, I make these things that are more mild, where I take vinegar, Frank's red hot sauce, I mix that into a sauce. I empty out the juice from the Vienna sausage, or I put the hot dog or whatever it is in the bag. Now, I made this for many other people. I can't have a lot of them on my stomach and esophagus, but I do okay with the pepper. It's really the acid from the vinegar that gives me trouble. Tomatoes gives me a lot of trouble too, but a little bit of hot sauce doesn't do as much as tomato. Like, 1 drop of tomato is probably the equivalent of 1 drop of pure hot sauce. Like, if you took a cayenne pepper and ground it up into a pure paste, it gives me as much trouble as a drop of the tomato paste. So tomato paste and pure pepper paste would be about the same equivalent. But when you have a pepper sauce, it actually doesn't have as much acid. It's the vinegar that contains the acid that really bothers me in the hot sauce. So I like 2 drops of vinegar. It's still a lot better than tomato sauce poured on your pasta for me. Anyway, still, you're soaking this in vinegar and hot sauce, so I could probably eat 2 before I feel it a little bit. It's not the burn, it's not the bad, it's really the acid from things like tomatoes or lemons or limes or vinegar that really do it. And that's something I found interesting. But anyways, so the recipe is vinegar, hot sauce. You open the can of Vienna sausages with chicken or whatever. You pour it out. Remember, I can't do much for pork, so I would only be able to do 1, but you probably could eat the whole can. Put the vinegar, red Frank's hot sauce into the can. Leave it overnight. Make sure the sauce is at the rim, and then you got them. But let's say you did a bunch of cans and you put them out all nice in a nice little row, and damn it, you have leftovers. Well, this is what I do with leftover, let's say, a tuna steak. Yeah, I'm not wasting it. I'm going to pay the money for a slice of fresh tuna. I'm not wasting a goddamn dime of it. So, when I'm done eating my tuna, I take oil or water. I fill up a mason jar. I make sure that the meat goes in first. So I fill up the mason jar with all my leftover meat. Make sure it's about pretty fully packed. I got like 20 different size jars. I find them for $0.25 a piece, or I have my leftover jars and I keep other people's jars, clean them out because they got good lids. Like, one guy had a really good one with a measuring cup on the side, and it actually is from the dollar store, believe it or not. But that one I got too. And so you take that. You put your fish in, you put your chicken breast in, you put your Vienna sausages in. Then you put your vinegar, oil, or salted water, or regular water if you're a real trooper, into the jar. Then you're going to put the lid onto the jar, or you can boil the jar in the water first without the lid. Now, I loosen the lid, keep it loose, and then tighten it as it goes. That's just mine, but you can put the lid on after it gets hot or before it gets hot. Just make sure your jar of meat in oil, meat in salted water, meat in water, or meat in vinegar, whatever you're preferring, or even vegetables in vinegar or whatever. Just make sure that you put that in boiling water. That's it. Just take your jar, slowly bring the temperature up. Remember, you're not preheating. You're just bringing the temperature slowly up until it's a super hot jar. Keep it like that for quite a while until you see a good suction in there. Make sure, that thing is piping hot. Then I take it straight out into the fridge. I make sure that it's on a towel so that the direct cold rack isn't touching it. Make sure it's on top of a towel. And then I leave it there. Now, you can just leave it in the fridge, and that will get such a strong suction, you'll need a crane to pop open that jar. Or you can just leave it in the cabinet to cool down, or, well, maybe not right away. There'll be steam coming off. But you see, it needs to cool down. That will make all the oxygen in the jar leave. And if you're keeping that jar in the refrigerator, you got years to eat that fish, chicken, whatever. I'm not kidding. That tuna that you had left over, that was on your plate, you had some, a bunch of tuna left on your plate, tuna steak. You just scraped it into the jar. You poured a bunch of oil on top of it, or you poured a bunch of just salted water on top of it. Now, I say oil because when you go to reheat it, it's better, and you can just rinse it off. But you also can use water, and then you just drain the water out and give it a quick bake. There's a bunch of different ways, but the fish will be good a year later. Or you can give it to your cat, whatever. You can even, if you have a lot of the fish, it will be no different than canned tuna. Canned tuna with oil or canned tuna with water. If you cooked that fresh tuna steak and you're putting the leftovers to the top of the jar, and then you add oil, and then you boil the jar, and then you put it in the fridge, it is no different than the tuna and oil you buy in the store. And then what's even better is if it's really high quality tuna, then it's probably closer to the white albacore. You also can do this with chicken breast. Then you got a nice olive oil marinated chicken breast. Oh, that's so good in a salad. Think about it. You have a nice chicken breast. You don't want to waste. You got 3 pieces left. So you cut them in half or you dice them up. You throw them in a jar with olive oil. You boil the jar. You put it in the fridge. And the next time you want a salad, you just boil the oil off into the side. You put all the chicken into a bowl. You add your favorite salad dressing, your lettuce, your tomato, you toss it up, and now you have a nice chicken salad. And the olive oil is exactly what's in most dressings. So having the little olive oil isn't a problem. And if you're thinking, well, what about cooking the olive oil? What if I got to recook everything? Well, then use water, salted water, use vinegar, use whatever you feel like. The key thing is to make sure that it's right to the rim, it has no oxygen, it is preserved really well, and then you can just dump off whatever you're using as the liquid, and you can always rinse the meat, you can always recook it, or you can just use the olive oil that's touching the meat, the little tiny film that might be on your chicken, in the salad. Olive oil tastes great. And you can actually make quite a lot of foods last you years with this process. You can have your leftover chicken, your leftover pork, your leftover cucumbers, your leftover whatever become great later. I mean, if you take cucumber slices and your kid has some salted cucumber slices and there's 20 left on a plate and you're about to throw them away and you can't eat them and your kid won't eat them, pour them, just place them into a small jar, add some vinegar, maybe some garlic and a little piece of garlic. Maybe you could even use some nice pickling vinegar if you have that around. Just seal the jar up real good and put it away. Forget about it. Before you know it, 3 months later, you'll have some pickles. You'll say, oh, yeah, that's right. That's my child's leftover cucumbers, but now it's delicious pickles. This is something I do on a regular basis. It's just something I'll have a big meal, I'll look at the leftovers, and I'll just seal it up. But I have very small jars, and it's not hard for me to heat it up. I also have a propane boiler that only takes 5 minutes to cook, so I can use like 1/4 to seal a jar or 10 cents or whatever with that. So I don't even have to use my electric stove and affect the electric bill. So I can literally just put it right there. I have this little boiler. You just put the can or the jar directly into it, and within 5 minutes it's sealed. You just turn the propane knob, you hit the button, you have the water tray on there, You put the jar in the water tray, and then it's right in 5 minutes. The thing is sealed, and you can put it away. So that's and it only uses a fraction of the gas. It's almost nothing. I mean, you get 2 for $9.50 of 5-pound tanks. You can get a better price if you went to my work. I can get free propane if I really needed. Well, one time maybe. It's not like I get free all the time unless I'm going back to work right away. But, yep, I hope this helped you a little. Think about how you can manage keeping more food in your house, less waste. And it's fun for children, too. Pickling, jarring, making jams and preserves. It saves your leftovers. You got some strawberries that are about to go bad. Throw it in the damn pot already. Throw it in a jar. You got jam, jellies, everything. Why do you think they had that stuff back in the day? Because their food went bad. They had a bunch of strawberries and nobody wanted to eat them. Oh, look at that mushy piece of crap strawberry. Nah, I'm throwing it away. No. We're going to make jam for our toast. Don't you dare throw away our strawberries. We have to survive off of that, Joey. Yeah, what are you going to do this winter when winter comes, huh? What are you going to do? No, what we're going to do is we're going to take these bad strawberries, we're going to make some preserves, and then when you're starving in winter, crying your ass off that you haven't had food in 30 days, you're going to have some toast with jam. And guess what? There's nothing wrong with trying to conserve what we have. There's nothing wrong with that without having to be somebody who's greedy or somebody who spends too much. And I'm not saying going out and buying groceries is greedy. It's absolutely not. But I am saying if you throw away 100 pounds of perfectly good food on a weekly basis or 200 pounds on a monthly basis, and you repeat this through your whole lifetime, and your children repeat this, and your neighbors are repeating it, then that is not sustainable for every human being on earth. That's it. If you want to do that in America, somebody else somewhere in the world or somebody in this country will have to pay the price. It's that simple. Who knows where that price will be hidden, but if you want to throw away perfectly good food on a regular basis and have that amount of food coming to you and have that amount of money to spend it like that, something has to be sacrificed somewhere in the world. There isn't enough food on this planet for every human being to waste over 100 pounds of food a week. I'm talking about the greens. I'm talking about the leftover chicken from cookouts where people didn't show up. You know, there are... you should see the donations that come in, like Dunkin' Donuts. They used to donate their donuts. Well, we're like almost 1,000 donuts a night. Somebody sued. Some rich white person with a lawyer sued and got out of the lawsuit winning. So some rich guy, some rich person went to get free stuff. They sued the hell out of Dunkin' Donuts for eating a free donut at a shelter, and now they don't donate anything anymore. Funny how that works. Somebody with a great lawyer ruins a program that was meant to help the people at the bottom. And yeah, that seems to happen a lot, doesn't it?